Hello again. I'm increasingly seeing mention of something called trans rights in the news recently. This is being mentioned apropos of the new hate crime law in Scotland, of course. But try as I might, I'm unable to understand what is meant by this term. Of course, it goes without saying that transsexuals are protected by law against anybody assaulting or threatening them. But that's a right enjoyed by us all. It's not limited to transsexuals. There is also talk about passports and the descriptions contained in them of the holder of the passport, but none of us really have any rights when it comes to that subject. After all, we don't even own our passport and have no say at all over what is written in it. Here's my passport. And if you look in your passport under the section headed Notes, which is on the second or third page, you will read here number 4, caution. The passport remains the property of the Crown. So I'm in the habit of calling this my passport, but it's not. I don't own it. It belongs to the Crown. It's the Crown's property. I happen to have it in my keeping. It's not mine. It's up to the Crown what goes into that passport and what they allow to be said in it. There are no rights connected with that document. All rights relating to it are held by the Crown, not by the individual who's using it. So we can forget about trans rights and passports. What about the right to dress how they wish in public? Surely that is a right which trans people have. Alas, no, we do not have the right to wear what we please in public and have never had such a right, whether we are transsexual or not. The police used to arrest transvestites at one time if they caught a man wearing women's clothing, and sometimes they would charge them with insulting behaviour likely to cause a breach of the peace. Now, they don't currently do so, but there's nothing at all to stop them doing this in the future if they wish. We don't have a right to dress how we please. A couple of examples will make this clear, just in case anybody watching this thinks that he can wear whatever he pleases in public. Imagine, for the sake of argument, that I dressed up as an SS officer, complete with a red armband with a swastika, and then I went and stood outside the local synagogue. Do you really think I could do so without being arrested? I would be arrested for conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace in next to no time. Or consider the case of Stephen Goff, who achieved fame in this country a few years ago as the Naked Rambler, as he was called. He used to go for walks in the countryside wearing only socks, boots and a hat. He was regularly arrested and spent a lot of time in prison because of the way he chose to dress. In other words, choosing to dress only in boots, socks and a hat is against the law. The police will arrest you for it. There's a number of laws preventing us dressing as we please. I'm thinking of things also like the Public Order Act of 1936, which prevents me from wearing the same clothes as other people if it looks as though it might be a uniform signifying some political allegiance or other. There's no right for transsexuals to wear clothing of the opposite sex. It's simply that it's tolerated at the moment. What other rights are there, do you think? Trans rights, that is. The right to medical treatments, surgery, hormones and so on. None of us have any right at all to cosmetic surgery, and we would be very lucky if we got it on the National Health Service. We have no right to any treatment that we ask for. It's entirely at the discretion of doctors. The only rights that we have in society are the rights specifically granted to us by law. For instance, habeas corpus gives me the right not to be imprisoned without trial. Like other rights, this is also enjoyed by transsexuals. The harder we look at the idea of trans rights, the more difficult it becomes to see any right at all which is or should be specifically limited to transsexuals. Whether this should be the case is another matter, but it is certainly how things are. It's always a good thing, obviously, and very desirable that we should treat everybody, including, of course, transsexuals, with dignity and respect. But nobody has the right to be treated like that. I can be as ill-mannered or rude as I please without violating anybody's rights. I can mock people as well if I'm an unpleasant person. Trans people have no more right not to be mocked than anybody else in the country. I do not, I hasten to add, feel any desire to mock or ridicule transsexuals, and I'm happy to address them by their chosen names and pronouns. That's a matter of courtesy, but they have no right to expect me to do so. That's complete nonsense, just like all the other supposed trans rights that we hear of.